Hi friends, this is Prem. Today we are going to discuss about the very important topic. On the Federal Register, Department of Labor updates about the H1B salary changes. The wage production, what it does mean, how it is going to impact H1B workers as well as the green card process. Also would like to know how it is getting impact when you are doing the H1B extension or H1B transfers, how these wage rule changes impact those process. Everyone is having question about May 2026 visa bulletin, why it is not moving. Will it drag us? I have the same question. So let's ask about these questions to our attorney Henry. He is from Manifest Law Firm and Manifest Law Firm is giving a free consultation. If you have any queries about your visa or any green card process, you can ask them. It's completely free. You can see the QR code on your screen. Just scan the QR code and schedule your free appointment. Hi Henry, happy to meet you after a short break. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
நல்லா இருக்கேன். நீங்க?
Yeah, I'm good, Henry. Thanks for your time. And today we are going to discuss about the very important topic Department of Labor published on Federal Register. It's on March 26, I believe. They are on the comments period on the Federal Register about the prevailing wages changes. So what it does mean, Henry?
Big picture, what it means is that if this actually becomes a new rule, it's not yet, but if it does become a new rule, then it will make it more expensive for companies to hire people on H1B, H1B1, E3, and also to do the perm labor certification for EB2, EB3 perm process.
So are they going to change the 4-level salaries or what they are going to change on that?
Yes, exactly. So whenever a company wants to hire, let's say, somebody on an H1B, then they are required to pay the prevailing wage. And basically what this regulation proposal is doing is it's going to change what is defined as the prevailing wage. So the prevailing wage has 4 levels depending on the complexity of the job and the level of experience required. So level 1 is for entry-level jobs where there's not a lot of experience required, whereas a level 4 or 3 is for highly complex jobs that require many years of experience or leadership or management responsibilities. And currently, the existing regulation sets the Department of Labor level 1 definition as the 17th percentile for similar jobs in the zip code or in the area where you are working. So if you're currently working in Cleveland, Ohio, and you're getting a level 1 wage, you have to just be in the 17th percentile of other people with a similar job in Cleveland. And the proposal now is going to lift that from 17 to 34, which means that you have to give a significant raise to somebody that you want to hire for an H1B visa.
Okay, yeah, it is a big move when you say from 17th to 34. Technically, today level 2 wages is 34th percentile. So they have to give the level 2 wages to the level 1, isn't it?
Exactly. So it's like everybody is moving one level up in the sense that they're raising the floor for level 1, and then level 2 is what used to be level 3. Level 3 is what used to be level 4, and then level 4 itself is moving all the way to 88th percentile. So it has to be a very high salary to be approved for a level 4 job.
So technically, whoever person currently getting the level 1 salary, they should not be on the level 1 once it's become effective, right? They their salary has to be upgraded in order to be present on the level 1.
Exactly. The current job remains valid. So if you've been approved, for example, from right now until 3 years from now, then you don't immediately have to get a raise just because of the new regulation. But the next time that the company goes in for an extension or an amendment, they will need to raise the wage to at least the new level 1 rate, or they won't get approved.
Okay. So whenever they go for any extension or transfer or amendment, so these level, once it's become effective, they have to go with these levels, right?
Exactly. So if you're looking at right now the level 2 wage in your area, and it seems like nobody wants to offer you that level 2 wage, then it means that it's going to be very difficult once the new regulation becomes effective. But it is important to note that it is not yet the new law, and we don't know for sure if it's going to go into effect like this. Right now, we are in the comment period, what means that everybody can give feedback, and that means that you too can go to the Federal Register and submit your comment. If you want to go and just give feedback and say, hey, this is not a reasonable salary, or it's going to make it very difficult for me as a small business owner or for me as an immigrant to find a job or whatever, you can submit those kind of comments to the Department of Labor. I believe it's in May that they will stop accepting those comments, and then the Administrative Procedures Act requires the Department of Labor to review all of that feedback they've received, and it might be several months before they then publish the final rule. So this rule might not even become effective until later this year or early next year. And there also might be changes, because usually what happens is they publish the draft, then there's a public comment period, then they make some edits to the draft before it actually becomes effective, and then you also have an advance notice. So once they publish the final rule, usually there's 30 to 60 days sort of a quiet period until the new rule takes effect. So everybody who's filing stuff right now after the last H1B lottery, for example, will be totally fine, and they will be able to go through with the current wage levels.
So yeah, I can understand we have more time. I have one more question. If anyone is having level 2 today, if the employer didn't change the salary, technically when they go for the LCA after it become effective, the level 2 become level 1, right? So whether uscis ask question about why you are degrading or downgrade your salary?
That is definitely a risk, and I think we're going to see some RFEs on that. Basically, what wage level is supposed to be paid to an employee is not just based on what's the number of the wage itself, but it is also connected to the level of complexity of the job. If you previously did that same job for level 2 wage, then they can ask you, why is there a downgrade if the job duties are exactly the same? So it would probably be necessary for the employer to file the case, but also include already some kind of an explanation in there about what happened to the job, right? Maybe the roles slightly changed. Maybe you can say that previously this was a more complicated job, but now we have AI automating some of the steps, so that means now the job is a little bit less complicated. Or there's got to be some reasonable explanation, not just that the wage level increased.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. But people should understand the importance of these Federal Register changes, because it may impact the transfer or extension or whatever things once it become effective. So please, if you have time and if you want to contribute, just mention your comments about these rule changes. Thanks, Henry. And I forgot to ask one question. So I believe you are seeing the May 2026 visa bulletin updates. So the dates are same like April 2026 visa bulletin. There is no changes at all. So what it does mean? So whether can we expect some retrogression later this year?
Well, I think this is the first time in a long time that I was right. I said that before. Previously, I said it's going to slow down, and then it just kept moving and moving and moving. Yeah. Now it finally slowed down. I don't know if there's going to be retrogression right away, but I do think that the previous jumps were so much that now we are seeing a lot of people filing for AOS, and I think USCIS sees the increased numbers in filing. Not only did the visa bulletin not change, but also USCIS said that they are now only accepting filings under the final action dates rather than the dates of filing. So I think their mail rooms are full, and they just need some time to process some of these cases before they want to accept more.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's why they changed the adjustment of status dates. So when you say the mail rooms are full, so does it means they have more demand than the number of resources, right? So whether will it cause the retrogression later this year?
I hope that there's not going to be a retrogression, but one of the things that I do notice, it's taking longer to get receipt notices. And I believe it was in the previous data publication where they showed the fiscal year 2025 overall numbers. There was one section somewhere there that said they have a front log of over 200,000 envelopes. What that means is there are hundreds of thousands of things that have been sent to USCIS that they haven't even opened yet, right? So that means that a lot of those could be adjustment of status cases. I don't know. They haven't categorized what mailboxes did they go to. If there's a lot of them there, I would say maybe not retrogression, but at least several more months of very little, if any, movement on the visa bulletin, just because there's still a lot of cases they even haven't even issued case numbers for.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Henry. Those are the great inputs. And I just forgot about ask this question. So when we talk about the wage rule changes, it will not impact any L visas, right? It is only on H1B or green card perm process or H1B1.
Correct. So there's no prevailing wage requirement for L or for O1s, for example. The only ones that are impacted are the perm process for green cards, and then on the temporary visas, the H1B, H1B1, E3, which is basically the Australian version of the H1B, and then the perm for the green card. So that's it. Those are the ones where the prevailing wage is a legal requirement. When you're applying for an L, USCIS still sometimes does push back on the wages if they look really, really low. But legally speaking, there's no mandatory requirement to pay like a level 2 or 3 or anything like that.
Great, Henry. You shared a lot of details. Those details are very useful. And when I just met people, they were praised you like anything because they are taking the steps based on the input. So it is so helpful for so many people. And thanks for all your work, Henry.
My pleasure. Thanks always for having me back, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you. Nandri.
Nandri.